Hi, and welcome to HR Talks with HM Pinnacle, where bad days turn into unbelievable HR stories. If you think you've had a rough week, just wait. You haven't heard anything yet. This is where real people ops, real chaos, and stories all come together. They're not the things you put in the handbook, but they're definitely the things you talk about at the water cooler. So before we dive in, don't forget to please subscribe or follow or like us on HM Pinnacle Consulting. We'd love to get feedback. This is where we're going to tell you all of the stories, give you content about HR, and just practical world tips at the same time. I'm your host, Heather. I'm the founder and CEO of HM Pinnacle Consulting. I've been doing this for way too long, probably about 20 plus years. A lot of hands-on operations throughout organizations in manufacturing, aerospace, operations, all of those kinds of key areas. And I get the opportunity to share all of that with you guys. And I have a great co-host, and I want to welcome Cara. She is my co-host, my leadership extraordinaire. She brings stability and direction to HM Pinnacle Consulting, and we are so blessed to have her on the podcast and on the team. So without any further ado, I want to say welcome to our podcast. This is podcast 2, season 2. You think you've had a bad day stories. And we're lucky enough to have with us another member of our team, Beth Lennon, who is probably one of the gurus of all gurus when it comes to our Gen Z, which is definitely an area that both Cara and I are learning and growing in. And we're lucky enough that Beth is also on our team and helps manage a lot of HR functionality, keeps us grounded in the areas where we sometimes can become a little overwhelmed. And we're so lucky to have her on our podcast today. So welcome, Beth.
Thanks.
And Cara, what is our topic today? What are we going to be discussing?
I am pumped that Beth is here because I feel like I'm so out of the loop. It's benefits.
Oh,
And yes, so we are chatting about benefits today and what is important to employees, but especially thinking about Gen Z. Like, I don't really know what y'all are into anymore because I feel like it changes so much. And I know when I first started in the HR world, it was a lot of parental leave policies that was like
oh,
non existent. And now, feel like that's relative, at least people know of the term, and it's relatively commonplace. No?
it's
Maybe?
so commonplace. No, the
Okay.
look on my face is like one of our clients is all we do for them. And it's like every day there's a new one. And you're like, oh my gosh, how many of these different kinds of leaves exist? Like there's so many. But I think that's where you and I, Cara, maybe differ a little bit. When you say benefits, I think of like wellness benefits, health benefits, those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you're thinking of more of the other leaves and that kind of stuff. So there's kind of a combination of the two of those. And by the way, before we get started, your shirt is so bright. Like you look like a sunbeam right now. And you
Me?
muted yourself, woman. Yeah, you.
Oh, well, I mean, hey, a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of brightness after this Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah. I was going to say, and I can see the sunshine coming in your window, which I'm a little jealous of as it's pouring down rain and windy out here. So,
Oh, goodness.
okay, so
See,
let's get
that's the
started.
nice
Which
thing about
part
being
of benefits do we want to start with? Do we want to start with the more warm and fuzzy things we need, or do we want to start with reality of what we've actually seen happen?
Well, I have some horror stories for y'all, and I cannot wait to hear, especially Beth. I'm going to be watching your face because I feel like you are authentic and expressive. So let's
Okay,
begin with
Cara, fill
some
us in. What have you had
Reddit
happen?
stories. Well, these are just from Reddit. So let's take it from just folks that have been sharing. Ice cream sandwiches. I love ice cream sandwiches, but this is the story. We didn't get raises because it was a tough year and your department didn't increase revenue. The poster was an R&D. Our competitors brought an ice cream truck and parked it next door and were giving out free ice cream and applications. And you could talk to their HR. They were specifically targeting our R&D team. Most of my coworkers went because it was a fancy ice cream truck they had seen but never bought from because it was expensive. My director freaked out and told his EA to go get ice cream and told people not to go. She came back with value brand ice cream sandwiches and only like 6 boxes. There were 120 engineers in our department. I only remember the managers going over and getting them. About two-thirds of my team left within the next 6 months.
Oh, wow.
So that's we'll start with that. And then the next one, honestly, apparently I'm hungry because this one also involves food. No medical insurance, but you have donuts once a week.
What? No, where's the punchline in that? That's got to be a joke,
That's
right?
it. That is it. So when we talk about benefits,
Wow.
I loved starting with this one. And I'm going to paraphrase a third one because I think this one's also kind of interesting and not food related. But there, essentially, the poster has a sister. The company makes PPE for firefighters. They're only one of a few manufacturers in the US for these products. After new management came in, instead of having regularly what we know of as accrued PTO, meaning every pay period you get more PTO, the company came up with a vacation purchasing plan. So typically, those are offered when employees can have an opportunity to invest in additional PTO on top of what you're already getting, but not with this company. If you wanted any paid time off at all, you had to buy into the program and have money taken out before tax. Worse off, it accrued throughout the year and you could only buy up to 5 days, and it was use it or lose it. So this company now charged people for their paid time off and punished people for trying to use it.
Wait, so hold on though. I can see the reverse side of that one. And what I mean by that is if they're going to take, let's say your salary is normally 120,000 and that includes the week, but they're going to pay you 140 and then because they do that, because some people don't want vacation, they'd rather have the cash. So I guess that one I would pull back and say I'd have to know the full policy around it. Because if you're one of those people like me, who if I take 1 week a year, I'm feeling thrilled. My husband, on the other hand, would take 5 weeks every year if he had the chance to, right? So for me, I'd rather have the cash than be penalized because I have 5 weeks of vacation that I'm never going to take. And that's happened in most of my career as a higher level executive. I'm never going to get to take that vacation. And then when I am on vacation, I remember Mexico 2 years ago, maybe it was 3 years ago now. I was sitting there with a suit jacket on and my a bathing suit below because I had to do a board of directors meeting for 4 hours while my husband's parading through the room on his way back out to the beach and then parading back in the room to go get more stuff, right? So even when I'm on vacation, you're not on vacation. So that one I think could go either way. Like I get purchasing the vacation, but if you're paying me more money for me to choose whether I want to take vacation or not, and it goes back to I know the balance thing, blah blah blah. We're all supposed to have balance, but sea levels don't usually get too much balance. But the other two, the food related ones, I have to know what you think, Beth.
Yeah, the ice cream that's a bold choice. Um, Standing outside with applications, that sounds like it would be like on The Office or something. That's really crazy. Um,
I applaud the
yeah,
competitor. I'm like, that is
yeah.
so smart. And also, how did they know? Like, how did they know this R&D team didn't get raises?
Oh, probably because one of their team members is friends with one of the other teams or something like that, I'm assuming. But
There's a
my
mole.
bigger
There's a mole.
my bigger problem with it
Sorry.
is why are we blaming the people who came across the street with the ice cream truck? I'm giving them total kudos. They have the
Uh-huh.
greatest recruitment offers, right?
So clever.
That's a big thing. And shame on the company who isn't doing anything to make their employees feel valued. I get that if you can't afford it, you can't afford it, right? But there's other ways to do it. Like we talk about, there's other things that you can do for employees when you can't afford increases. But the one that blows me away is the fact that only the managers, isn't that what it read? Only the managers went over there and actually got the ice cream. So you're basically telling your team it's okay for you to do it. If you're the leader and you're doing it, why are you not thinking that's okay for your team to do as well? Like, wow. Just wow. Of course, Striker wants out now. Keep talking.
Hey, I love that you told us before this. It's human. We're human. And right now, it's lunchtime at our household. So you might be hearing my little daughter having some food. So, hey, it happens when we work from home these days. But like, this is the stuff that I'm so, the days of pizza parties. Well, okay, I don't know. In my opinion, and I am in the millennial generation, the things that were really valued and important to us were kind of the what's the impact behind what I'm doing? Do I believe in what I'm doing? Do I have the time off to like volunteer or social responsibility? I felt like that was very appealing to maybe it's just me and my friends that I'm associated with, but we were like, what we want to do something of impact that has a greater meaning to the large organization. So that was really big to us. But Beth, I'm kind of out of the loop now. And I think because of my friends and my network, like I kind of see it through only my lens. I wouldn't know what the current college graduate is looking for. Like, what do they actually value and want? Because
In
what I might
benefits,
think,
yeah, it
yeah,
is. You're like, are you looking for a really good medical and dental? Is that something when you guys are looking for jobs you'll be looking for, or is it going to be ice cream socials? And I'm joking.
pizza
I'm
parties.
joking about the ice cream social part, but seriously, I mean, is it the perk benefits that you guys are going to be looking for more in an organization, or is it the standard, benefits? What is it?
Yeah, it's actually funny you mentioned that, Cara, because I feel like that definitely flowed into my generation too, like having a greater impact, not just on the organization, just like feeling like I'm doing good in the world too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Gen Z seeks out companies that align with their personal values and their own goals. So I think that's a similarity, but also like um for benefits, I think that we also value like companies implementing like mental health days, or a lot of it is surrounding mental health. And like I know some companies do like summer Fridays, like they really value like hybrid work and just like work life balance. So yeah, I feel like that's a critique of our generation, but that is also just what people want now.
It goes both ways, though. It might be a critique, but it's also something that I appreciate because I think there's a balance between like I want to like hit the ground running, go go go. Like we joke. I mean, millennial generations we get the joke of like people pleasing, and we just give everything to once. I appreciate the balance, but it's also like when does it tip too much? Because yes, like I remember we did there was a brand name app that focused on mental health.
Mm.
So is that something that is actually, if it's meditation or yoga or sleep stories, is that actually helpful, or is it more like time off to as a mental health day to like get some sunshine and go barefoot in the grass?
So I think there's a
Yeah, I
combo. I'll let you talk about that, Beth. But I mean, even from our clients that we see, like there are a large number of clients who have a younger generation of employees who are expecting to have mental health benefits. Like there needs to be a benefit plan for it, not just a hey, you can take a day off and call it your mental health day. They want to know that there's actual apps or tools or resources, and that you value it, that you're not going to laugh at them when they say they need a mental health day or a day off, or stress relief, or whatever the case may be. Those are important, I'm finding, with our current clients. And maybe you're seeing something different, Beth, but that's what I've noticed.
No, yeah, that's definitely true. Also, just like I know some people make fun of it, but like people needing mental health days, but also like for the longevity of an employee, those are truly important because if you don't take them, they're going to get burnt out quicker and easier. So I do think investing in the mental health of your employees and maybe giving them some mental health days could protect um, how long an employee stays and how long they're really committed to the company.
I think
So,
that's so true.
so
I don't
based on
know.
that, the ice cream social isn't going to be helpful for you, and you don't want donuts over your benefits.
Medical.
I
No.
mean, that's always nice,
Good
but
to know. Yeah,
It should
good to
be in
know.
addition to, so we should
yeah,
have
yeah,
medical and donuts.
yeah, all of the above.
Now you're asking a lot from an employer.
I mean, but to Beth's point, though, I do feel like here's the also I think a generational shift, and I think about like my parents' generation. Like I have my dad's briefcase. There it is, right there, because he was able to go into an office. He has his paperwork, and then he brought his briefcase home. But like there was more margin. I feel like between work and home, there is so much connectivity, and there is less time for having margin at work. So like that's kind of the key word that I thought of when you were sharing what's important was like flexibility, hybrid work environment. I want to be at home and also doing my laundry and get some chores done and be able to like be with my dog. Or have a mental health day to just recover because I'm on at like 7 p.m. every day. Who knows? So I kind of appreciate that. But I also feel like it's hard as me as trying to also learn how to be a manager, how to balance business continuity as well.
And I think as a business owner, one of the things that I think is critical and not everyone in your organization understands is the cost of benefits is extreme right
Oh,
now. And I do mean
expensive.
extreme. Like the last couple of contracts that I've helped negotiate for clients, the original contracts were like 20 to 30% increase in well, you're already spending more money than anything else is salary and benefits for your employees over any other costs you have in most businesses. And to take a 30% hit, like when you can't do it. So you either don't offer the same kind of benefits that you offered to your employees before. You make your employees pay more of it, but then they're only getting a 3% COLA increase or whatever. So it's not even offsetting it. So your employees are taking a pay cut. Like, so I think that's why it's important that we as business owners understand what in benefits is valuable to our employees, not the ice cream truck across the street and applications, right? But are we providing something that they really need and want? One, to keep them, like you're saying, Beth, because you want your employees long term, but two, so that you can afford them long term. That's the other thing that you're finding. And I think one of the things I think is something that we should look at as employers, and maybe you guys are going to disagree with me from your different generations, but we need to do a better job of communicating that back out to the employees. Hey, the increase to benefits would be 30% or 20% or 10% or whatever it is this year. To be able to continue to offer you those benefits, we're going to have to be more creative. We're going to have to offer this. We're going to have to give you a different buy-up plan, like whatever it is. But I think bringing them into the solution of the problem instead of telling them what it's going to be, I think gets more buy-in from it. But I'm looking for your guys' opinion on that too.
No, yeah, I think that's definitely true. That also just goes back to like the importance of having good relationships with managers and teams because that open communication in the long run is going to lead to better results. And like you're saying, the company's going to be able to know what is truly important for their employees and be able to save money in areas that's not that important for a lot of people.
Yeah, like boutique ice cream trailers.
Yeah.
Because you can only imagine how much they spent. Like,
Yeah.
and then honestly, I feel bad for the EA or whoever it was that went to the store and bought value ice cream and
Yeah.
only got enough for like a third of the people. Like, that's just not okay.
But let that
Okay,
be a lesson.
okay,
It costs so much more to replace all those employees than
Yeah.
probably that bougie
ice
food
cream.
truck. But
Okay,
yeah.
so Part, you have a horror story.
Oh, well, so for mine, because this is again kind of similar into like the cost of not having good benefits up front. But mine is always around parental leave because that was kind of that was just the big topic at the time. And I worked for tech companies where talent was very, very competitive.
Oh
We
yeah.
only had one female software engineer at the organization, and she threatened to leave the organization because she was expecting. And so we had to like whip up the parental leave policy kind of just for her. But the thing is, she's also a key employee. She was very good at her role, highly effective. We were going to lose top talent just because we didn't have what, you know, any sort of benefit to support her going out and like bonding with her child. And so we scrambled to get that done. But it turned out to, well, this is how it's going from a horror to like a happy ending story. So, but it turned out to work out really well. However, here's what happened at another organization that didn't have a good parental leave policy. There were some women who were coming back to the workplace and had some um, certain items that they needed for their children were being taken out of the fridge and used for coffee. You know, milk that they needed to nurse their child was being used for coffee, uh, just to unawareness of what was needed. The pumping room was actually a operations closet that was dusty and had file cabinets everywhere. And so even when it was locked, the operations team walked in on several nursing moms, um, or pumping moms. So there was just a lot of awkwardness at that, but it was a learning for us. It was a horrible, horrible experience for the employees at the time. And so that I started with the positive one, then turned to the actual horror one, but it was pretty bad.
The company's lucky they didn't get sued by each
It
and every
was
one of those women. Like, whoa. Did they just
Yes.
not know any better, or did they not value it or care about it?
And this is something and I'm going to be coming from a little bit, I think the company didn't know. I think,
Okay.
um, and I will put, I'll put myself in this position. Before I had kids, I don't think I fully understood kind of the burden of being a pumping mom or being a mom away from your kids in the workplace and sitting in a storage closet and not having the benefit of either a mental health room or a pumping room. And it can feel really sad to like be away from your kid for the first time and then you're sitting in like a dank, dusty like room and then to have someone walk in on you. And then also let's again, when you work that hard, if someone were to take a bottle of milk that I work to feed my child from the fridge, even though it might have been an accident, that stuff is liquid gold. I would have been furious. Absolutely furious. That is so hard to
Oh
do.
my gosh. Okay.
So,
I wow. Just wow. Like
mm-hmm,
I think it is one of those things though that people need to pay more attention to is if I'm learning anything, especially from both of you, is that benefits are not just the medical, dental, vision. Benefits really are how we treat our employees, how we communicate with our employees is also a benefit. I agree with you, Beth. I
mm-hmm,
think that there's so much more value in an entire package. So, what is it we're doing to make sure all of our employees are feeling taken care of in the work
mm-hmm.
environment, outside the work environment, for their families, all of that? And it's a huge burden for employers to own and understand. But I think if I'm hearing anything from both of you, is that it shouldn't be an employer only burden. It's one of those you bring in the others into the conversation to say, what is of value to you? And maybe we need to start looking as employers at more cafeteria type plans, like true cafeteria. Like maybe what Beth needs is not a closet to pump in, but she's going to need, to have community days because that's important to her. Or,
Mm-hmm.
Kari is going to need to have, more flexibility around, the start of school or whatever it is. I think we as employers need to stop thinking that it's always going to be this one and done kind of formatting. And really, maybe it's an entire um, mall of benefits, for lack of a better term, or a store of benefits, right? And so you go in and you have a dollar figure for your store each year, and each employee gets to pick what they want out of the store for that dollar. And
Oh, that's
there's a piece of me that wants to get Andrew on the show right now, our friend who's a broker from IMA, and just ask, is there a way that could be done? Like, is there a way to go, okay, here's all of it. So maybe for Beth, because she's younger and healthier, she she doesn't need vision. I don't know. I'm just using it randomly. Of course, you need vision. Everybody needs vision benefits, but that's the point. But she doesn't. So she's like, I don't want to spend the $5 or $10 a month on that, but instead, I'll put it towards a community day that I get once a quarter so I can go out and do something that impacts the place that I live that's important to me or has value. Maybe there's a way to do something like that.
that's so crazy. Okay, wait, now I'm so curious. So, Beth, if let's say you had $5 or like five benefits that you could purchase from your mall of benefits, what would you want to see, or what would you
Ooh,
want to have, or like
man.
yeah, or like yeah,
Five?
yeah. Let's do five,
Yeah,
or maybe
just
three.
random.
Let's do
Okay.
top three. Is five too many?
Okay.
Five's a
Top
lot. Yeah, okay, let's
three.
do
Let's do
top
three.
three. And
Let's do
better not
three.
be ice cream because I'm not shipping you ice cream out there. Okay, keep going.
Top three would definitely be healthcare,
Okay.
um, dental, and then I don't is mental health days like an actual benefit or
Yeah,
yeah, like
I
it's
feel
not a
like that
standard.
absolutely counts.
it's
It
not
is.
okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Because
I would
I
say
don't
those three then.
okay. I love that. And also, it's also surprising to me that because I think what you just told me is, although there are the traditional medical, dental, vision, and we sometimes want to expand upon that, that's still very foundational and it's still very needed to
Yeah.
feel like we have accessible um, care for ourselves or our loved ones. So I actually very much so appreciate that. And I think for mental health days, that was telling to me because I think a lot of organizations have EAP programs or employee assistance programs where you can like call and they'll give you maybe a free online consultation. But I don't know if this might be a bold statement, so feel free to cut it out. But I don't know if that's really cutting it anymore.
It's not, I mean, look at one of our clients, Cara, that we work with regularly. They actually have personal days on purpose for that mental health need, and they offer a certain number of days each year for people to use for whatever other purpose. So they don't have to use sick leave for it, but they can use it as more of less of a hey, I'm being penalized because I'm sick and I just have to take this day off, to more of a I have an opportunity to go and use this day for something that makes me relax or feel more energized or whatever, you're needing in that moment. I think that employers need to think outside the box. The one that surprises me is, so Beth, of your age group, a lot of individuals under 26 who are in college and that kind of stuff can still be on their parents' benefit.
Yeah.
So that may not be for younger in your generation, may not be as important to them to have the medical because they have it through their parents, which an employer needs to think of, right? So if you've got 30% of your population that's under the age of 26 because you're hiring in a lot of Gen Zs, maybe you can use that for something that's more critical. Maybe it is like extra training, maybe it's wellness days, maybe it's campaigns for the community and doing volunteering, whatever it is, right? But know your audience, know the age group and the census of your employees when you're making those decisions so that you're using the money the best way possible, because recruiting and retaining Gen Z is critically hard to do in general. So you want to make sure that you're putting the right benefits forward for them when you're doing that. Okay, Cara, you have a look on your face.
But this might be actually covered in the Fear of Snowflakes podcast, so maybe I need to jump over there. But is there like, what is the main reason of the retention? Like, what's the benefit
No,
that would
no,
be like,
no,
I
no,
would like
no.
to know?
They have to wait until the next podcast for that one. You're gonna have
Okay,
to.
okay. That was just a little teaser. But
Okay,
I'm also
so no, go ahead. Sorry, Cara, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
sabbatical. That was my last question for Beth that I had, because
Oh.
my sister's organization, for every like 5 years you're there, you get a 5 week sabbatical. I was
What?
curious to see paid. Yeah, 5 weeks paid. Would that be something that would be an effective retention for you, Beth? Or would you just, what, it's 2 years away. I'm going to be out yet. 3 years.
Um, I think that's a good way to retain people because you have like a benchmark. If you stay this long, you're gonna get X amount of weeks off. Um, but I think maintaining employees in the meantime is also important, like mental health days or other PTO. Um, because for my generation, you would be surprised about how many people that left after a year or two.
Yeah.
So it might not be worth it because my generation, I've seen like people are jumping around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, it might not be worth it for some people if
Interesting.
they don't want to stay at a company that long.
See, I think I have to agree with you, Beth. So one of the things that people have stopped doing as much is the unlimited PTO concept, because
Mm-hmm.
people are like, oh, this is so great. No, it's not. It's really not, because you're going to get the people who take advantage of it because they don't care and they're going to take as many weeks as they want. And then you get the rest of the people who are like, oh my gosh, there's so much work to do. I can't really afford to take all of these time. And then they penalize themselves and they don't take the time off because there's no set limit to it. So it doesn't come across as a benefit. I think the same with a sabbatical. So, like for me, the idea of 5 weeks off paid gives me a panic attack. Like someone's got to do the work while I'm gone, or I'm going to have to catch up on it all when I get back. So, how is there value in that to me as opposed to being able to adjust that? So, a sabbatical to me would never be, and I'm of a totally different generation than Beth is, but I wouldn't I wouldn't find value in a sabbatical unless I had a role that would not be following me around. So it wouldn't be waiting for me when I got back. And nowadays, employers are very short staffed in general just because of financial reasons. It's not like you've got three people who are doing your job at any given job, right? So when you're not there, who's going to fill it in? How long can they fill it in before they implode? So Cara now has all of my responsibility for 5 weeks on top of hers. I come back. She's like, peace out. I quit like halfway through that time because I can't take on all of that responsibility, right? So to me, I don't know that a sabbatical sounds like a really good benefit.
Interesting. Okay. I love this. I still like your mall idea. That one I feel like was the coolest
I
idea.
know, that was brilliant. I
I
should
really like
totally
that
come
one.
up with a way that we do that. Like
Yeah.
we should have a mall instead of like benefit plans. Okay, Beth, that's what we're gonna take on. We're gonna figure out how to do that. Okay, any more horror stories before we conclude out, Cara?
Gosh, I'm sure I could think of some, but I
Benefits is
feel
we
like,
don't have a lot. Like,
well, unfortunately, I also feel like if you see a horror story with benefits, it's you don't really want to see a horror story with benefits. I feel like we're focusing on kind of the lighter levity part of things, but if benefits go awry, like that's people's, as we all know, you can give a person money, you can give them ice cream and donuts, but if their health goes and they don't have the appropriate way to feel safe and secure and healthy, or if they're in pain, everything else goes out the window. So I feel
yeah,
like that is a foundational component. So
I
anyhow,
agree.
I do love how Beth, thank you for kind of bringing your unique perspective and kind of the focus on mental health. And I also really, really love how being or having a good leader, not just a manager who like focuses on your work, but having a good leader and having good communication with them and being authentic as a company and removing maybe some of that really corporate speak, which I use a lot, can be a benefit too. So I really appreciate that. But with that, this will conclude our HR talks with HM Pinnacle. So just remember, if you think you've had a bad day, hopefully no one's walking in on you
I was just gonna
in the
say
middle
you're
of the
not in a
office.
closet.
At least you're not, yeah, hopefully you're not in a closet being walked in on. In HR, every challenge is an opportunity to grow. So thanks for spending time with us, Beth. And for all
Yes.
of y'all watching or listening, thanks for spending time with HM Pinnacle. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel at HM Pinnacle Consulting. And you can also find us on Spotify at HR Talks by HM Pinnacle Consulting. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks.